These are the brand new AirPods 3. They look a lot like the AirPods Pro, and on paper, they share a lot of similarities. So which one is better for runners? It's time to put in the AirPods 3 and take them for a run. .54 miles, 7 minutes, 54 seconds per mile, and 155 beats per minute today, going for my long run, which was 18 miles total with a 10-mile block of marathon pace miles in the middle. A great test in my mind for the AirPods 3. Now, before I give you my thoughts on this set of earbuds, I do want to go over some disclosures. I'm going to be talking about the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Pro in this video, and both of these earbuds were purchased myself. No one sent them to me. No one's paying me to make this video, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the AirPods 3 versus the AirPods Pro from a runner's perspective. First, let's talk about some specs. And the spec sheets for both of these are pretty similar. I mean, they look really similar. The case design is very similar. They both have adaptive EQ, high excursion Apple driver, and a high dynamic range amplifier, speech detecting accelerometers, and motion detecting accelerometers. They have a force sensor, which is what helps it make it feel like there's actual real buttons. The haptic engine on these are fantastic. And all this is being managed by the H1 chip. And everything that I've talked about in the AirPods 3 is the same, or at least on paper it's the same. Maybe the way that they've kind of tweaked or are implementing the high excursion driver or the high dynamic range amplifiers might be different between the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Pro, but at least in terms of what the spec sheets say, it's the same. The only difference so far, what I've talked about, is in the sensors. The skin detection sensor in the AirPods 3, where there's optical sensors in the AirPods Pro to help it figure out if it's in your ears or not. They both have IPX4, which is a bit disappointing for something that I would want to take running. IPX4 really is only for light splashes. Certainly not something that I'd feel great about getting caught out in the rain, and it's certainly not something that you could submerge in water. Both of these charge by MagSafe and by wireless charging, and both come with a USB-C to Lightning connector for cable charging in the box. Both of these sets of earbuds have quick charging as well, so 5 minutes charging back in the case will give you an hour of listening time, although the amount of listening time that you can get from a full charge on each of these earbuds is a bit different. The AirPods Pro come in at 4.5 hours of listening time, which can be cutting it close for a lot of you when it comes to if you want to wear these for a marathon, whereas the AirPods 3 have 6 hours per charge, which is a little bit longer and is probably going to make it safe for a lot of you guys to wear the earbud as you're warming up and getting ready for the race, getting in the corrals. You should be able to get from start to finish without having to worry about having enough charge. But there was two other main differences between these two earbuds that really sets them apart. And one is kind of like the earbud style. The AirPods Pro have the silicone tips, which kind of jam in the ear and create like a seal to prevent outside noises from getting in. Have active noise canceling, and also they have a transparency mode, which takes the microphones and pumps in some of the ambient noises outside in so you can hear them, which I think is going to be really important for a lot of the runners out there, because it helps you be more aware of your surroundings when you're out there, whether it's being safe from bicyclists or other runners or other pedestrians, or whether it's cars or trucks that you're also worrying about while you're out there. AirPods 3 have more of the open ear design, where there's a little bit of space for kind of ambient noises that can still kind of get in. It doesn't quite jam in quite so much in the ear, although you are still putting it in ear. So those are the spec differences between both of these. Are pretty similar, with the main exception being the battery life, the ear tips, and the noise canceling feature. So let's talk about what it was like to actually use these. And I'm gonna break up my kind of analysis into 3 sections: quiet room listening, running with them, and just living with them generally. So let's talk about quiet room listening and just the overall sound quality first. Both of these earbuds sound fantastic. I think that you're getting premium level sound in each of these. I will say that the AirPods Pro are not my favorite sound in terms of earbud sound, but they're pretty high up there. Now, I will be the first to admit that I am no audiophile, and when I look at earbuds, sound fidelity isn't necessarily like the first thing that I look at, because the main thing that I want to do with these is be able to take them with me when I'm out there for my runs, for my workouts, and even for some of my races as well. So when it comes to quiet room listening, I actually think that the AirPods 3 sounds a little bit better depending on what you're listening to. For me, when I'm listening to music, I think that the AirPods 3 just gives a little bit more of a full sound. Both of these do a really great job at balancing sound when you're listening to music. I feel like I'm getting the entire register, the entire range of sounds with a real nice crispness. Nothing is getting too distorted and everything's really well balanced. I'm even getting enough bass. I always would want more bass, but I'm getting enough bass to really enjoy the music that I'm listening to. But there's just something about the AirPods 3 where I think the music quality is a little bit better. Where the AirPods Pro actually excels though is when I'm listening to media. So when I'm watching stuff on like Disney Plus, Netflix, any other videos that I'm watching, where there is really good sound engineering, that's when I can tell that I think the AirPods 3 gives me a little bit more of a realistic feeling. I'm feeling a little bit more immersed, and I feel like I'm in the environment with the characters that I'm watching on the screen. The AirPods 3 do a great job, but in that scenario, I do think that the AirPods Pro are doing a little bit better. So now let's talk about running with these. And I think that from the running perspective, overall, I prefer the AirPods Pro by a pretty wide margin when it comes to listening to music. The main thing being when I'm listening to the AirPods 3, because of that kind of more open design, I feel like a lot of the bass is kind of like leaking out of the earbuds. And so I feel like I'm not getting a lot of bass when I'm listening to music. When I'm listening to podcasts, audiobooks, that kind of thing, I'm not really noticing too much of a difference, but I'm really noticing the difference when I'm listening to music. It's a hard workout and I really want to crank it up. That's where I feel like it's just, I can rearrange and reposition the earbuds, but they'll kind of move back to their default kind of position. And I just feel like a lot of the foundation of a lot of the music just isn't in there, and it's just dribbling out from the spaces in the earbuds. Now, the good thing about that though is that even though these aren't noise canceling earbuds, I do feel like though it helps me stay more aware of what's going on around me. So I do feel like there's a better sense of awareness than most other earbuds in this price category in terms of the AirPods 3 and what I'm able to hear around me while I also happen to be running and listening to music. So I feel like they're doing a really good job of kind of balancing those two things. But compared to the AirPods Pro, which have much better sound quality for me while I'm running, but I can also still be aware of my surroundings because of that transparency mode and the noise canceling features, I feel like the AirPods Pro for me win in this category by a really wide margin. And also I feel like the fit is just a little bit better. Again, kind of like it wedges in the ear a little bit, and I feel like that's a little bit more secure, whereas the AirPods 3, it feels like a much bigger kind of thing that you're trying to like kind of fit into your ear, kind of just wedge in there a little bit. And it never fell out. It never got close to falling out. But I always kind of felt like this really isn't in there all that tight. It just felt like it was kind of just gently like laid in my ear. And when I was running, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure how like secure this is going to be. It ended up being very secure, but it just always felt like it was on the verge of kind of like one wrong move and this thing, I'm going to lose it. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind in terms of the fit for running is not as confidence inspiring for me. Now let's just talk about living with generally. I've been taking the AirPods 3 around with me, kind of doing my daily kind of like dad activities, taking the kids to school, going to the grocery store, interacting with people, talking with people at stores. And I feel like the AirPods 3 do a really great job, even though they don't have noise canceling. I think that what I appreciate about them the most is that they do have really good sensors in it, that skin detection sensor. When I do take an earbud out, let's say I want to talk to someone, it makes it really easy for the music to just stop. I can talk to the person, then I don't have something else going in the other ear, so I can concentrate on what I want, the conversation that I want to have. And then when I put the earbud back in, it just automatically starts playing again. So I really do enjoy that. And I do feel like when I'm walking around just along the street, I do feel like I'm getting a good sense of like all the other ambient noises that are around me. So even though it's not noise canceling, there's no transparency mode, no ambient mode, I'm still able to hear everything that I need to from a safety perspective. So it's really been great to be able to live with these. They're smaller than they were before. They're about the same size as the AirPods Pro. They're a little bit different in size, but they're getting to be much smaller, and I feel like they're lighter, so they're just a lot easier to keep in for a long time. I will now go over to some call examples from the AirPods 3. All right, this is a quick audio test using the iPhone and the AirPods 3. On my way back home from the pharmacy, just got my COVID vaccine booster. All right, audio sound test number 2, still on North Broadway, still heading home, but this time nothing in the ears, just going straight to the iPhone microphone. So those are the 2 audio samples. I thought they sounded pretty similar. Hopefully that's been a helpful comparison in terms of those 2 sound samples. So overall, let's talk about kind of like the buying guide and what I would recommend for runners. So right now there's 3 price points. Apple's always so good at figuring out their pricing. The older stuff is AirPods 2. That's at $130 and that's a really good deal. If you're in that like $100 price range, if you can bump up to the $130, I think that you won't be disappointed in terms of the AirPods 2. But now let's talk about the 2 earbuds that we have today. The AirPods 3, which are listed at $180, and the AirPods Pro that are listed at $250. I think from a runner's perspective, I think that I would probably advise more people to go with the AirPods 3 unless they really want the noise canceling and unless they really want that transparency mode. I am one of those people, so I would probably go with the AirPods Pro, but I think for most people, unless you really need those things, I think the AirPods 3 is the much better value. Here's the twist on that though. The AirPods 3 are brand new, the AirPods Pro have been out for a little while, and now you can find the AirPods Pro at $200, like on places like Amazon, and it's just like a regular price. So at a $20 price premium, then I think the comparison becomes much more interesting. And at that, if you can get the AirPods Pro at $200, I'm thinking that the AirPods Pro would be the set of earbuds that I would recommend to runners, because I do think that it fits in the ear a little bit more securely. I do like the transparency mode, and I especially like having noise canceling while running. And I know I normally talk about the transparency mode and letting noises in, but when it's a windy day, and like the footage that you saw for this video, it was a very windy day. What I have to do in the AirPods 3 or any set of earbuds that doesn't have noise canceling is that I either have to not hear my music because all I'm hearing is wind, or I have to really crank up the music so that I can hear at least something over the sound of really strong wind and gusts. And what that leaves me with is by the time I'm done with the workout, not only have I been blasted by wind for however many minutes, my head, my ears are fatigued because they've been just bombarded with the sound of wind and music that's been cranked up to kind of try and compensate for the wind. So it's just an extra level of fatigue that I'm feeling when I'm using a set of earbuds that doesn't have noise canceling. When I use the noise canceling on a very windy day, then I feel like it cancels out a lot of that wind noise. You still feel the wind, unfortunately. I wish I could invent something to help with that. But you still feel the wind, but you're not hearing it quite so much. And you can actually even turn down the music a little bit because that noise canceling is making it so that the music doesn't have to be as relatively loud. So for that reason, at $200 versus $180, I would say go with the AirPods Pro. If you can't get it at that $200 price, if you're paying $250, then I would say go with the AirPods 3 for the runners out there. So those are my picks. That's my buying guide for the AirPods 2, AirPods 3, and AirPods Pro. If you have any questions about any of these earbuds, let me know in the comments down below. Or better yet, feel free to stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday right here on YouTube. I'd love to be able to talk to you guys in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?